So Bhagavan really didn't care for his reputation. He didn't care that one of his ex-attendants, the ex-ashram manager, was traducing him in this way. And when somebody got really angry and said he wanted to go to town and sort out Paramal Swami in person, Bhagavan said, tolerance, tolerance, patience, patience. He just didn't want anybody to be provoked on his behalf. He wasn't being provoked himself, and he certainly didn't want anybody else to go and take action against Paramal Swami. I think he felt compassion for him. I think he felt a little bit sorry for what a twisted state his mind had got into. But again, sadhu dharma is not to react. Sadhu dharma is to take the criticism and not revel in it, but just accept it as it comes with the job. Now, before I conclude the Paramal Swami story, there's a lovely ending. I should say that in Bhagavan's day there was a scrapbook where devotees would cut out stories about the ashram from newspapers, magazines, and they would paste them in this scrapbook so people could see what the world was saying about Bhagavan. Now, Bhagavan was a very saintly figure, he had a lot of prestige, so the stories were all good. So slowly, this scrapbook filled up with highly complimentary pieces praising Bhagavan. And then one day a very derogatory story appeared in the newspapers, which nobody wanted to cut out and paste in the scrapbook. So Bhagavan himself got the scissors, cut it out, and said, give me the scrapbook. And instead of pasting it on the next available page inside the book, he pasted it on the front cover, much to the consternation of all the devotees. And he said, everybody else is having their say, all the people who like and love me are having their say. Why should we deny access in this book to people who hate me? So he pasted the least complimentary article anyone had ever published on the front cover of this book. Now, somebody told me this story decades ago, around the time I was sorting through the ashram archives. So I was hoping that this scrapbook with Bhagavan's critical article on the cover would show up. It didn't, but I did find this scrapbook in which were pasted many newspaper articles, and the cover was missing. So I'm guessing that at some point devotees overruled Bhagavan on this and tore the front cover off and threw it away. Now, to conclude with Paramal Swami, he finally realized that he'd gone too far. I think he became sorry for what he'd done. By that time, he'd lost all his friends, he'd lost all his means of support, his reputation was gone, his finances were ruined. I think he got a kind of instant karmic comeback on this. At the end of his life, or towards the end of his life, he came in a horse cart to Bhagavan. He was so sick and feeble he couldn't walk properly. And he said, Bhagavan, please forgive me, and please don't forget me. And Bhagavan said, I will never forget you. Now you can take this to mean, you've caused us so much trouble, how can I possibly forget what you've done? But I think there's a subtext to this. I think Bhagavan kept all his devotees in his heart, in his grace, and that when he was promising not to forget Paramal Swami, he wasn't criticizing him in any way. He was simply saying, I am with you, you're my devotee, don't worry. And Paramal Swami then said, but Bhagavan, I'm going to hell, I'm going to be in hell. And Bhagavan paused for a while and said, don't worry, I am there also. Now, there's something about that statement which has theological, philosophical implications. When you're Bhagavan, there's no state, there's no condition, there's no realm, heaven, hell, where you're not. You are present in all places. And I think he was, as well as making a philosophical point to Paramal Swami, saying, don't worry, wherever you are, whatever your destiny is for having done these things, I'm going to be there as the substratum of your being. I'm going to be there at all times, irrespective of where you end up, so don't worry, I am going to be with you. And I think in a way, indirectly, this is Bhagavan endorsing his famous statement in Who Am I, that whoever has fallen into the jaws of the tiger never escapes. I think Paramal Swami was a good devotee for a long time. He went off the rails. And this final encounter with Bhagavan, Bhagavan is simply saying, there's nowhere you can go where Bhagavan is not. I don't want to give the impression that the devotees at Ramanashram were all badly behaved. I think the standard of behavior was quite high. But there was one very interesting reply that Bhagavan gave on this topic, when one devotee said, people come here, they seem very nice, they seem full of good intentions, but after a while they seem to go a bit crazy, their behavior seems to change for the worse. And in fact, some people who come here, they seem to get worse rather than better in your presence. Now normally Bhagavan wouldn't respond positively to a critique like this. He didn't like people who complained about other devotees. But on this particular occasion, he said, well, it's like a pot with milk in. He said the milk is your ego, your vasanas, your tendencies. When you come to the Guru, everybody has a certain amount of milk in there. If you have a little bit of milk in the bottom of the pan, then the heat of the Guru will fizzle, it will evaporate, and you're done, you're cooked. But he said most people come here and their pot is at least half full of milk. So when the fire of the Guru is lit under that pot, it bubbles and simmers for a while, but then it boils over and makes a big mess. So we need to be tolerant of these people, because in some instances, the power of being in the Guru's presence has agitated their mind. All this stuff has to come out. Sooner or later, their mind will calm down, the milk will disappear, and they'll be quiet like everybody else.